So let's talk about job costing today. And what is job costing? Well, job costing is actually going to be looking at specific jobs, customers, uh, projects, kind of all interchangeable, but really diving in specifically to the revenue that's brought in with that specific job, and then the expenses that are also associated with it. And trying to categorize pretty much every expense that you have to it so that you can see what your true profit margin is. So this is going to include your direct labor. It will include your materials that you purchase, your subcontractors if you have them. And if you really want to dive in, you can also do a great overhead allocation, but sometimes that's a little bit too deep in the weeds with things. But as long as you're doing your direct costs, that's always a great indicator of how you are creating profit to a specific job. And you might think, okay, well, does my business, should I be doing this? Should I not be doing this? Because it does add on more administration work than your typical accounting for any type of, for businesses. And so, yes, if you are more project based, then you will want to do this. So some industries that might benefit with this is construction. Depending on how large your job is, it is important to job cost on all of them. But if your job is a little bit too much and the administration kind of gets in there, then that can be difficult. But marketing agencies, if they have long projects that they are delivering on, getting an idea of their direct costs on those, or consultants or event planners. These are just some ideas. And then obviously, if you have a product that is very specific to one client, so you're building something and it's this one-time purpose for this customer. So you can also think of, what happens in your business. Are you project-based, or do you have bids or quotes that you are doing, some estimations? Okay, I'm gonna do this project and it will be $20,000, and then at the end of the day, well, was your estimate good or wasn't it? And having variable labor also from project to project, it can be very helpful to, if you're job costing, really diving in and making sure that your numbers are matching and that you're billing out the client how you should. Job costing matters financially. So this is once you have enough revenue, or once you have enough jobs that are happening, you can see that when you have all your finances kind of jumbled into one, it's hard to understand what job is actually creating the issues or not. So when job costing can help you is it can catch if your estimate was actually a underpriced one. Perhaps you estimated that the job would cost 20,000, but in all reality, it's costing about 21, 25,000. You want to make sure that you're billing that back to the client and not absorbing those costs yourself. It can help you improve your bidding process with understanding the dynamics of really like, okay, well, this job takes this many hours because you've specifically looked at all of the labor associated with certain things, and you've improved your systems within your business to be able to classify all of these. And then you can also get your true profit margin specifically for that job, because not every job is going to be the same. And if you have an idea that you want a 30% profit margin for all of your services that you provide, you can really keep in mind and see in your financials that, yes, okay, this job, it was at 15%, and then this job was at 40%. And maybe you overcharged this client or undercharge this one. So just really that focus dialed in amount that you are looking at. It becomes really critical when you are just feeling super busy and not profitable. If you feel that cash flow is tight, but you're not understanding why it's cash flow is tight, you can, with job costing, you can really pinpoint exactly which projects are the problem. If you don't know what your gross margin is per job, you should start looking at that so that you can make sure that you are building a very profitable business. And perhaps you are just kind of using that gut check and saying, okay, I think that's a good bid, but really the verifying that it is a good estimate or not, that's where job costing comes in. So how do you even implement this? The accounting software that you use, depending on in QuickBooks what subscription you have, there are different levels that you can utilize this in, but definitely have software that helps you to create these reports so that you aren't guessing all of the time. So in QuickBooks, there is projects and classes and divisions. And then you can also have some custom fields that are helpful. So setting up that system and process within the accounting software. And then what you need to do is also create it on the actual real world. And so making sure that when you guys are tracking any hours that you have for any employees, that they are saying exactly who they're working on, what project they're working on, what client they're working on, so that you can, when you're running payroll, put it back to over for that specific job. Any expenses or bills that come in, you want to make sure that whoever has purchased these, that there is a process of writing which job it is incorporating. So you can create codes or anything like that to make sure that everything, again, is tagged back to either a job, or it could also be just the general business expense, but making sure to classify them like that. And then you should be able to look, once you've tagged everything, once you've tagged your invoices and your expenses and your bills, then you can actually run reports and see, okay, well, was this job profitable or was it not? And so at that point, you can actually make decisions on, should we change pricing? Should we change our bid structure? Should we work on our labor hours? Can we improve on efficiency somewhere? And so just having this data is really great, because if you can measure something, then you can manage it. In QuickBooks, like we talked about, there are projects and classes, and there are a couple of reports. I actually really love projects within QuickBooks. They have created a good eye here. So instead of looking at the general overview of all of the things that can be within QuickBooks and that you can add, you can actually create these projects within QuickBooks so that you can have specific reports that are just for that job. A profitability report, how much time and effort on your employees and vendors that you're spending. Do you have unbilled time and expenses that need to be billed back to your client? So it just really houses it nicely in this one spot within there. And then if you don't quite know if you're ready for that, or you're not ready for the larger subscription, there's also an easy way to create kind of a roundabout of custom fields. Your tagging there is kind of the same structure. You have somewhat limited reporting, but you still are able to pull that information from inside of your QuickBooks so that you are able to run different reports and figure out what your profitability is with that. That's it for today. Thank you for joining me. I do hope that you have a great weekend. And if you would like to know more or have some ideas of how you think you may be doing well but want some more guidance, happy to have a conversation with you on that. But yeah, I do hope you have a great weekend, and we'll chat next week. Thanks.